Hey everyone, Steph Beckett here at ISC 2022. It is day 2 of the show, and I am here at the Matrox booth here with Ron Birdie. How's it going?
It's going great. It's actually been a great day on day one, so we'll hope for another one today.
Yes, we're here right before the show floor opens, so that's why we got a few minutes of quiet time before it gets really crowded. But yesterday, you guys had a lot of foot traffic, a lot of people in your booth. Was it really nice being back in person?
It really was. It was so great to be back on a show floor. It's been 2 years. Last one was 2020 ISE.
Yep.
And back to be here in front of people, talking to people, and getting the exchange of information has been great. It helps.
And y'all had a lovely happy hour yesterday. It was great to meet a few people from the Ames Alliance, and I know that y'all are very happy to be a founding member of the Ames Alliance. So I kind of wanted to start by talking about that, if that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're pushing the IPMX standard. We're very involved in that, and I think that's sort of natural for Matrox to be pushing that sort of thing. We're very used to standards and driving, starting with 2110. We've adopted that on the broadcast side of things. We've adopted NMOS and JPEG XS, which are all standards, and now we're moving towards IPMX, which brings a more simplified network to Pro AV, making it easier to implement, and at the same time also adding things like HDCP, EDID support, security, all the things that are important to Pro AV and the installations and use cases and workflows in that environment. So it really, hopefully when that's ratified, just makes it much easier for Pro AV installers and system integrators to work with that.
Well, yeah, and I did want to bring that up because in AV, we just don't have a lot of standards. We have a lot of proposed standards, but not a lot that are widely accepted. Yep. So I wanted to talk about that because broadcast is a little bit different in that way, and just, the importance of being a proponent of a standard and a pioneer of a standard in hopes that eventually it becomes something that AV uses across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, broadcast was very SDI oriented and having that baseband use. And then they realized that with 4K, we don't want to always have to revamp our systems when we move from, standard definition to high definition. And then again, we have to scrap everything and go to 4K. And they went with 2110. So simply built out a standard for transport of AV over IP, and it's really built well for the broadcast environment. But there's a house sync that's required there and some very technical networking type of, the networks themselves are relatively technical. And that's what IPMX brings to the Pro AV market. It simplifies that networking aspect and, like I said, brings those Pro AV features to that 2110 spec or in addition to the 2110 spec and gives you that what we expect will be a much easier lower total cost of ownership for Pro AV when we do adopt that. And that's what we brought up with our Convert and Conduct IP products.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's all about making things easier for integrators so they don't have to spend as much time on an install. Because at the end of the day, time is money when you're an integrator.
Absolutely, it is. And whatever we can do to make that easier, whether it's install features or standards, bringing them so that they can get interoperability without having to fiddle and work with this vendor and that vendor and how do these things work together. They just automatically work together. That makes it so much easier. You get to pick the best of breed of all the manufacturers for the right workflows that you're trying to achieve. And it just makes it much easier and just less costly to get achieved.
And you brought up the Convert IP series, and I wanted to just ask a little bit more about it because that's one of the main things that y'all are showing in your stand this year. So I know you've gotten a lot of questions about it. So yeah, tell me a little bit more.
Yeah, I think one of the big questions is a lot of people see that we have SDI versions, HDMI versions, HD-based versions, and they're asking, well, how do these all work together? Well, basically, as an example, you can have a camera with SDI coming out of the camera, capture it with a transmitter that's SDI, and just pump it across the IPMX network and dump it out onto HDMI because your screen is HDMI, and that conversion from SDI to HDMI is done automatically. It's all done. All of the devices, all 6 that we launch at this show, basically, can be set as transmitters or receivers. They can all do that. They all support uncompressed. Well, not all. I guess all the SFP versions support uncompressed. We support compressed with JPEG XS, like I mentioned, and 1 gig Calibri codec, which allows you to have both motion video and high frequency stationary video like desktop at less than 1 gig, which is really important in Pro AV because often they're working on 1 gig networks. But if you want to, you can go all the way to 25 gig and run uncompressed 4K P60 at 444 and get every piece lossless and very low latency.
Which is very wild because in AV we work on 1G and 10G, and we talk about those very frequently. And 25G is something that is like just virtually unheard of until now.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you're going to actually capture and go fully uncompressed, you've got to move ahead above 10G. So for 4K, exactly. So we didn't want to lose any of the signal at all. When you're using uncompressed, we are completely lossless and we are zero latency other than the network. When we're running the compressed, we're still at less than a frame of latency and visually lossless content, both for desktop and motion video.
What are some other questions that you've gotten from people visiting the stand?
Well, they're actually interested in talking to AIMS themselves and, the IPMX initiative and finding out more about it. So we're pushing them, of course, to AIMS and actually at Infocom we'll be doing, or they'll be doing, actually a full interop demo as well. So there'll be 12 different companies in the AIMS booth there. I don't think we have that here. I'm pretty sure that's not the case. But certainly at Infocom in June, you'll see that interoperability demo showing and proving that standards-based principle really works, where many different companies are showing off their products and what they do best for the market with the standard.
Well, where can people go to find more information?
You can take a look at us at matrox.com, of course, and look up the conduct and convert IPs. And then, of course, you can go to the AIMS side, too, and look up the IPMX standards there as well.
Very cool. Ron, I hope you have a great day, too, with the show. It has been lovely catching up with you this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks, and we'll see you again soon.
Sounds good. And don't forget, on our side, you can go to ravepubs.com/ISC 2022 for all of your ISC coverage. And we will see you next time. Bye.